Hey, how you doing? My name's Jess. Today I want to tell you a story about this silicone candle mold and the mistake I made with it so that you don't do the same thing with your molds. So I bought this mold off eBay. I originally had purchased a horse mold, so it was supposed to be a pillar candle with like a horse figure on the side. My reasoning behind it was that I live in a horsey community and that I was going to put horse candles at the post office to sell. Okay, so that's the backstory. So I, you know, sussed out my mold. I put a hole in the middle of it with my wick scissors and I was ready to go. I poured my wax in and I was going to do my first wick test. Well, guess what happened? Can you see it? You see where the wick is? Yeah. So I blindly assumed that the middle of the bottom of this silicone mold was going to be the middle of my pillar candle. And I was wrong. And guess what? This is not a horse. This is a moose. So yeah, two things kind of went wrong there. And it's pink. So a pink moose candle. The wick is not centered. So when you've got a brand new silicone mold, don't put a hole in it before pouring some test wax in to see exactly where the candle top is in relation to the mold. Okay, so yeah, because this will not burn properly because it will just all, pour out the side here because it's not centered. So the next time that you get a large silicone mold and you need to do, like to see where the wick goes, just pour in some plain wax without, that you can remelt again. So just get your pillar candle mix, pour it in there, don't put any color, don't put any scent, just to see the mold. Just look at what's going to come out of it so that you don't end up with this mistaken wick that's off centered like I have now. So I'm gonna see if I can save this mold. I did an experiment where I poked a hole in the bottom of the mold, right in the center of where this top part of the candle would be. So instead of it being like in the middle here, so this original hole that I had put in is still there. Just move the light a bit, try to get you to see this better. So can you see that right there? That is where the original hole of the mold to make this off-centered wick was. So what I did was I took my wick scissors and I poked a new hole in it. And I was wondering, would the silicone leak through, like the wax leak through the silicone because of the original hole? And the answer was no. I didn't even have to use on this particular mold because of just how sticky it is. I didn't even have to use any of my glue tack that I usually use. This stuff that I usually put here, I didn't even need to use that. Now, not all molds are going to be like that. This one's really tacky, so I think that's what the difference was, because I have other molds that you couldn't do that and get away with. So I'm just going to unmold this now, and we're going to see how it turned out on the top part. Let's check him out. Oh, he looks good in purple. What do you think? Do you like him in purple or pink? The trees are more defined in the purple than on the pink. And look at that. It's in the center. Yay! Cool. So that works. In some molds, particularly ones that are tacky, you can indeed put a second hole in it and it will work. That is good to know, that this mold is not trashed. So when I say tacky, I mean like you touch it and it feels like a little bit sticky. And it's really flexible. You can twist it. So I had originally thought that maybe I could use my heat gun on on the hole here and melt the silicone, and then, you know, that would seal it. But then I did some research on silicone, and no, you cannot melt silicone back to what it, you know, like it doesn't melt. It will either get brittle and break at high temperatures, which we're talking like 300, 400 degrees Celsius, which is like ridiculous. Like my heat gun couldn't get this up that high even if it wanted to. Like the temperature could never get that high. And honestly, I don't really want something that was that high around my work area. I've got like paper down here and stuff, so let's not do that. Or it can just spontaneously combust. So yeah, we're not going to heat up silicone. It doesn't work. But if you've got a sticky mold, you can indeed put a second hole in it. It won't leak, and you can save your mold to make a nice candle. So there we go. Another experiment done. You can use this to save your silicone molds. Right on.